Hello guys, join me today to just do a quick sketch of this orange. What I'm going to be doing isn't like a super high realistic orange whip. It's more of like doing different objects in the style that I am trying to kind of perfect and showing myself that I can do a rough piece of work without it having to be a complete finished product. There's my battery getting low because that's something that always happens, and of course I wasn't sitting by a charger, so I had to go get one. But that being said, what I'm doing right now is really just quickly sketching out the shape. I actually had an orange sitting by me as I was doing this, and it is based off a real orange. Now you guys, this canvas is gonna be like flipping around, turning around, doing all the angle points for you because I clearly cannot stop moving the canvas while I'm painting. This has just been something that I've always been bad at. So I'm sorry if it bothers you, but this is just the way that I paint and I do my digital art. Right here, I sectioned off some pieces that I wanted to later highlight and kind of just gave myself a rough sketch of what I'm going to be penciling in. Next, we'll be moving on to an actual sketch with the pencil that I want to use for this. And this long pause was mainly because, like I said, my tablet was going dead and I had to go get a charger. I'm coming back in here and using a pencil, Tranquility Babe. This is a pencil that I'm using from the brush set that Magdalena Dionova, I think that's how you say it, has on her TikTok. I got this one because this is the main art style I'm trying to like study here. I definitely saw her art and resonated with it, and I will make a video probably later on niching down, but that's something that I have been struggling with. So this was kind of just me deciding that I wanted to pursue this style of sketch. It's definitely more my type and what I have done over the years. And yeah, that's kind of what we're doing here. It may not be everybody's style. A lot of people like doing realistic, super cartoony, but I'm here to tell you that is all art. It's your type of art. You can pick whatever you do. But like I said, that's a video that I'm planning on making later. So if you guys want to subscribe, you'll definitely be getting a video on struggling with niching down. Going back to the canvas now, I have gotten to the root. I've done my main sketch of the outside of the orange, and I'm kind of just going in and doing the root of the stem and all those creases that are around it. So what I like about this style is that you can use the sketching to give it a lot of depth. As you can see in the back where I lowered the opacity on my rough sketch, I'm kind of tracing over that one, and you'll see the parts in the creases at the top by the stem where there's like loops and lines going down the shape of the orange. And I went in and I took out that little bit in the stem there just because this is going to be my final product. Like I said, I'm not trying to make this one a masterpiece, and neither should you guys if you just want to practice and really add more style to your drawings. But as I was saying, I'm going in and I'm kind of just putting in depth at the top by the stem by doing the line art. Now, I'm learning that if you add too much line art, it will be way too sketch looking for when you want to add your colors. Now, if you're doing sketching and just want that to be the finished product at the end, go ahead and add all the lines you want. But for my style that I'm going for, it's a really minimalistic sketching. Like, the sketching line art is very kept minimal, and you're going to be doing a lot with the colors. Now, speaking of colors, since we're almost on to that point right here, I really want to stress, I do not know my color palette that well. This is something that I'm going to be learning. I know how to color things in and correlate colors to a certain extent, but I definitely want to start learning about warmer and colder colors. And this is something I encourage that you do too if you're trying to start an art channel or make your art look more professional. If you're wondering how these people have so many art accounts that you see online, that their art looks so professional, the whole piece just has a vibe, I realized very quickly that is because they know how to work the color wheel. Like I said, this is something that a lot of people don't realize you actually need to start doing. Looking into your color wheel, figuring out, what colors correlate with each other, and not to use ones that contrast that much with each other. Coming back into my art piece here, you'll see I put some coloring outside of the lines. This is because it kind of, if you see my sketch lines, they go overlapped sometimes, and I'm just figuring out like my border. With this sketch style, it's actually pretty nice because your color can go outside of the line to a certain extent, and it'll still look like a finished product in the end. That's just very like the style of what I'm going for, and it's that rough coloring with the rough line art look. I really think that it's super cool and neat, and I've always loved this style. At this point, guys, I realized I was coloring this in a really slow way, and I could have just been filling it in like I just did. However, you'll get that on your art pieces. Everyone makes mistakes here and there, but I got smart. You'll see me erasing some of these weird lines around it that I don't know why Procreate does it sometimes. I think it's because it's a shading pencil. The pencil has texture. But now I'm just going and alpha locking this, and I'm gonna come in, and I didn't like the original color I used for my line art. As you could see, it was very much blending into my color that I picked for my orange. So right here, I'm messing around with the colors and just seeing which one I like in there as my line art color. I settled on this very classic sketch color. It kind of looks like a pencil to me, and I don't know, going for like a rough sketch orange for something that might go in the background of an illustration or something, obviously you're going to want the look of your illustration to be the same. These are kind of how my portraits have been going, so I'm going with that, you guys. Here I'm filling in the stem. I picked a very light green, but that's only because I know I'm going to be coming back in with a darker shading, some light shading, and yeah, this orange concept here, one of the main reasons I picked it, guys, is because I need to work on shading in my portraits and everything. And I felt like oranges have such texture. I was literally in my kitchen and saw it, and I knew I was going to be drawing today, and I was like, you know what? I can just go ahead and do this, because who says you don't have time to draw an orange? Any artist has time to draw an orange. And while that may not make sense to you, I'm sure if you're an artist, it does. I'm sure if you've done realistic art, it definitely does. And sometimes us artists are weird and we just draw on the spot, We draw whatever is sitting in front of us sometimes. But the good thing about these methods is that we always gain perspective from it. What I'm doing here is kind of putting in some of that texture. It's not shading yet, but it's giving my orange stem a texture of lighter colors. The green is pretty light, but I want to actually make it stick out a little bit more with the texture wise with the yellow. So I'm adding some yellow in here and kind of figuring out which direction and chunks of it I want it to take up. Sometimes you'll definitely see me struggling with wanting to perfect what I'm doing in this whip, and I know that that is a problem. We all know that's a problem for all of us, but I definitely want to stress that is something I'm trying to fix when I do these. I'm trying to let go of constantly having the urge to put these little perfections in there and fix these little things that don't really need to be fixed. As far as it goes with art, yes, you need to make it look like you envision it, but sometimes that just means leaving things alone. You don't have to do everything perfect. We're never trying to recreate something to its exact form if you're not doing realistic art, so why not just have fun and mess around with it? So I picked this pencil, which is also from the same creator's brush pack. It gave the orange a really nice, like, not realistic, but it definitely looks like our style here that we're going for. And I shaded in some green on the side with that pencil and absolutely loved it. However, I'm shading in the rest of this orange, trying to find the light texture, and I'm not really vibing with that pencil for the darker colors. But guys, that is okay, because that's why we have an addiction to buying multiple pencils. And you will see me very quickly here go in with a different pencil after I figure out that I absolutely hate what I'm doing with that one. What I did do with this pencil before, though, was lower the size and create some depth in my creases. So I realized that I did need to do it with some sort of pencil, and I was like, well, if I thin it down and I put it by the creases, it will create sort of that depth that I need to show that shading up there by the stem. So now that that's done, I went down and I picked a soft grain because I thought that one might be a little bit better for the darker section of the orange. And what you're gonna see me doing is kind of fooling around with what I want to be lighter, like the highlight sections of it. And I think I come to a conclusion around here that I'm actually erasing things, because as you see, the shading's going out of the lines. So it's around this time that I actually realize, why am I not clip masking this to down by the color that I filled it in with? Because if I put that on alpha lock and I clip mask the layer above, it's only going to color in what I filled in the orange with. Sometimes it's just rough like that, and you don't realize till it's too late. But luckily, I realized before I fully shaded this orange in and made my life a lot easier. I'm giving myself perspective. I used to work with the canvas close by every time, super zoomed up, But what I realized is that sometimes I needed to zoom out, especially getting used to digital art. Zoom out your canvas and just see how things are looking from out there. So I'm really coming in with a very set apart grain look and giving the orange some of its pores. I was beginning to love this at this point because I feel like it looks super sketchy and realistic, but in like that kind of like sketch world way. I'm trying to think of this style as more of my universe for drawing now, and by this point I was getting super excited because I could easily see it sitting in the background of one of my paintings. And that just made me really happy. For the next few minutes, you'll see how I struggle with coloring because I'm trying to find the right hue of sort of white for this orange. I kind of want it to stick out a little bit more, but just because this is supposed to be a rough sketch type drawing, you know I've been talking about the style throughout this whole video, and if you don't see how my sketch is going so far, you wouldn't understand what I'm talking about. But I'm sure you guys know what kind of style I'm talking about, and you've seen my Instagram possibly, and things like that could introduce you to this style. I finally found the right white, and I kind of just dotted it along there. I wanted to give the green, because it is a lighter color, that section of highlight. And by this point, I'm really just trying to figure out what else I have to do to finish this, because I'm getting super excited. It's looking great. I actually am like, wow, this was a good idea. Sometimes it just takes doing things like this to give you a little bit of confidence in your masterpieces that you try and do. Now I'm going in with the lighter shade of the greens and the yellows I'm going for on the stem, and I wanted to give those some highlights. However, I kind of had a moment of realization that this is a sketchy kind of style. Why don't I just have fun with some lines on the stem to give it highlight? And I actually ended up loving this. I thought it was the perfect last touch to this piece. And when I zoomed it out, I absolutely loved how the white lines kind of gave it like that texture of the line art. And I'm evaluating it to see if I want to do anything else with it. I think at this point, I was like, man, it just needs a better background color. And I wanted it to be a little bit more aesthetic. Like I said, I'm trying to like fool around with colors. And I kind of found that this yellowish really worked with the orange. And I think this piece really worked out. And I think that's about it for this video. So if you liked it, please comment, subscribe, like, and I hope you had fun drawing with me with this video, or whatever you ended up doing along to this video. And I kind of kept you company along the way. And always remember to be creative and express yourself every day. Bye guys. Thank you guys for watching so much and drawing with me if you chose to do that along with this video. I just want to encourage you guys to subscribe, like, and comment if you like this. Keep creating, and have a nice day.